Peter and Lois Griffin are one of the most iconic couples in all of animation, even if you can't exactly say they're couple goals. But these two lovebirds have had quite the ride, going from loving and affectionate soulmates to a domestic powder keg threatening to combust at a moment's notice. But how did they meet? How did they fall in love? Are they actually destined to stay together? Well, today we're going to be looking at all that and more as we go over the entire history of Peter and Lois's marriage. If that sounds good, be sure to leave a like and let's get into it.
I love Aunt Marguerite, because if it wasn't for her, I never would have met you, Peter.
So the earliest example of Peter and Lois meeting for the first time comes from the season 2 episode Peter Caviar Eater, where we learn that Peter first met Lois while working as a towel boy at a country club.
I don't want to bother him.
Nonsense, dear. You're a Peter Schmidt. Towel boy.
And it became quickly clear why Lois fell for him in the first place. I mean, just listen to his charming and poetic words.
My name is Peter, and I'll be your towel boy. Oh, jeez.
A regular Cyrano if I've ever seen one, though it looks like he's traded the big nose for a big waistline. But these are two cats from separate sides of the tracks. Lois came from wealth and status, while Peter's collar ran a bit more blue, something he's never forgotten.
Peter, I almost didn't recognize you without a towel on your arm.
Easy, lady. Just because you guys are at a funeral doesn't mean this day isn't big enough for 2 dead bodies. But while Peter's always been self-conscious about his social standing, it really seems like it was a non-factor when it came to Lois falling for him.
He was so different from everyone else.
Yeah, but for better or for worse? I'm sure Lois would answer with a resounding yes. But after a magical moment straight out of Titanic, this debutante realized she'd found her Jack. And no one needed to freeze to death for a change.
Kids, if you marry for love, your life will be filled with its own riches. Money doesn't buy happiness.
Spoken like someone who's never sat in a massage chair. I've seen happiness staring at me from the window of a Brookstone for years. But while their difference in upbringing was always present, Peter would try his best not to think about what the upper society had to say about him.
Because all that's important is that I love you.
No, because your ancestors were nothing but a bunch of pimps and whores.
Yeah, that little tidbit does make it a lot easier. From there, the two would continue to date, going through a series of hurdles like doubts about each other and parental disapproval. Our clearest glance into their dating life comes from the season 3 episode Death Lives, where Peter relives his past during a near-death experience.
Well, when am I gonna die?
About 2 years after your wife divorces you.
The hell are you talking about?
So after Peter skips his anniversary to go play golf, Death takes him down a path of reflection to see how things used to be between him and Lois.
And why don't you give him a kiss?
Oh, Peter,
Come on!
away from me.
Come on!
This is one of those rare instances where you could hear it coming from a park at night and not see a missing persons bulletin on the news the next day. But it's clear their dating life was filled with fire and passion. Sometimes the fire was quite literal.
From now on, this'll be our song.
While their love may not seem as strong today, their penchant for property damage sure hasn't gone away.
I love you, Lois Peter Schmidt.
I love you, Peter Griffin.
But someone who didn't love Peter was Lois's father, Carter. Even though we've learned how much of a straight-up villain he can we really blame him for having some concerns?
Based on what you've seen with your wife, what can we expect in terms of droopage here?
Now, I'd say that's grounds for dumping Peter in the ocean and leaving him for the sharks. But just like the flu, Peter always finds a way to annoyingly come back into your life when you really don't need him to.
Hi, Mr. Peter Schmidt.
What the hell are you doing here?
Man, it's so hard to find a good hitman these days, isn't it? But if Carter can't kill Peter, maybe he figures he can at least bribe him out of his life.
I want you to take this and stay away from my daughter forever.
$1 million?
That's like $1 million more than in my bank account. And while the offer is tempting, Peter realizes that a life with Lois just can't have a price tag placed on it. Then again, if Carter offered $2 million, who knows where this could have gone.
Lois may be worth $1 million to you, but to me, she's worthless. I love her, Mr. Peter Schmidt.
Maybe for a wedding gift, Carter can get him a dictionary so he can double-check the meaning of the word worthless. But upon realizing that he gave up a fortune to be with Lois, Peter realizes what a fool he's been and goes to make their anniversary right.
Oh, Peter, our song.
And to be fair to Carter, he wasn't the only father who objected to this relationship. Peter's fake father, Francis, also had some choice words about the partnership.
It's a pity you couldn't find yourself a nice Irish Catholic girl, Peter.
I'm sure there's a dating site for that. If there's a dating site for clowns and the gluten-free, there's probably one for that too. But I guess everyone must have just given in eventually and just let the two be.
You're a good woman, Lois. Perhaps you won't burn in hell after all.
And while we've never gotten to see Peter's actual proposal to Lois, we do hear Peter give us a little insight into what went down later in the series.
Because I proposed in an offensive Chinese accent and you just wanted to get out of the restaurant?
This implies there was a non-offensive Chinese accent he could have done. Probably never see that. We have seen bits and pieces of their actual wedding. But before we get into that, we've got to talk about the attempted retcon the show tried to pull off with Peter and Lois's relationship in the aptly named Season 18 episode, Peter and Lois's Wedding.
Dad, why don't you tell us how you and Mom fell in love and got married?
And in go the earbuds?
So this episode completely changes the story, with Peter and Lois having known each other since high school and moving into the city with her friends.
And your mom lived across the hall with her friends Bonnie and, Bonnie.
Okay, yeah, so this episode probably isn't meant to be taken as lore accurate. Bonnie cloning wasn't invented until at least the 2010s. Then again, maybe Peter just forgot about Bonnie's iconic sister, Denise.
Brad Pitt broke up with me in a pretty public way. I just don't know if I'll ever date again.
So the episode explains that Peter and Lois dated in high school before amicably breaking up and remaining friends while Lois's dad tried to find a fancy young suitor to wed Lois to.
Wait, Seamus had arms and legs?
Chris, I'm not sure you have the green light to just chime in whenever.
Yeah, Chris, so what if Seamus did have arms and legs? It's not like they're an iconic piece of him or anything.
Peter, why don't you admit it? You still got the hots for Lois. It's obvious.
Peter realizes Cleveland's words are true and decides to do what he should have done a long time ago. This time sans an offensive Asian accent, thankfully.
Will you marry me?
I'm so sorry, but I'm already engaged to Tom Tucker.
Well, that didn't sound like a no, so maybe the gate's still open on that one. But then again, wouldn't you want to marry a guy who comes into the room with his own theme song?
Oh, King Toby forever!
Don't the silky stylings of Ollie just get you into the marrying mood? But Peter isn't ready to give up, realizing that the only way to speak to Lois's heart is through the art of the mixtape.
I gotta say, the fourth and fifth time I heard Cotton Eye Joe, it really got to me.
If she had heard it a sixth time, she probably would have wound up pregnant. Doesn't the southern stylings of a bunch of Swedes just get you in the baby-making mood? Luckily, Carter's rather receptive to Lois changing her mind, even offering to pay for Peter's whole bachelor party at the MTV Beach House.
And I promise it's not part of a ruse to destroy your affection for Peter once and for all.
See, if you can't trust the mouth of a snake, then who can you trust? But it turns out it was all a ruse, as Carter pays television host Daisy Fuentes to kiss Peter live on TV.
Peter, how could you?
Any real kiss connoisseur could tell this is a one-sided kiss. My man looks like he's being attacked by the tube of a vacuum cleaner. But Lois decides to never see Peter again, and the two separate.
So as a way to forget my pain, I threw myself into a .com startup with Quagmire.
Weird to think that back then, creating a website was a multi-million-dollar venture and not just something you could do on Squarespace in 5 minutes.
Google. A search engine for all the info on the Goo Goo Dolls.
People are always going to need information about them.
But while Peter finds plenty of success, it's just not enough to fill the Lois-shaped hole in his heart.
She's getting married tomorrow. Somehow all this success feels meaningless knowing I'm about to lose her forever.
Well, money can buy you another wife, but that's just tacky. They won't let you return her, even if you kept the receipt. So Peter decides to 90s explosion jump his way into Lois's wedding to stop it.
I know I screwed up and I don't deserve you, but I can't stop thinking about you day and night.
I feel like this is the same speech Peter would continue to give Lois at least once every few months. Despite this being a very clear indicator of what her future will look like, Lois decides to take Peter back.
Oh, Peter!
Damn it, stop them!
But you can't stop true love, and if the church won't recognize their union, they can always rely on the other holy house, Fenway Park.
And I think I got swindled on the Fenway deal because there was a game that night.
It's a hit!
On second thought, they end up getting the same reaction they would have gotten if they got married in a church. Only the food at the church concession stands is much heavier. Oh well, no going back now.
I was having serious regrets about my decision, but was already pregnant with Meg, so there was no backing out.
The telltale sign of a relationship that's gonna last a lifetime. So yeah, it's more than likely that this isn't officially canon, but this is one of the only times we've gotten to see their wedding play out as a core part of the episode. That being said, we have seen short glimpses of their wedding in the past, which all seem to line up with each other. And honestly, it seems like it was just as classy as the wedding in this episode. We've seen their ceremony.
You may now kiss the bride.
Kiss her? I am gonna destroy her.
Their wedding toast.
What can I say about my beautiful bride except milk, milk, lemonade, around the corner fudge is made?
And even their final send-off, where Peter's father Francis managed to get in one last voice of disapproval. And that may just be all we ever see of their happy day, because Peter ended up recording over their wedding video with something a little more saucy.
It's so cold in here. I mean, look at my...
Such a great historical loss, but I have a feeling the family members who received a copy might get a lot more out of it now than they would have.
This wedding is hot!
Wake up, damn it! Wake up!
So after a wedding comes the honeymoon, which is another piece of their relationship we don't have a ton of info on. However, we did learn a little bit about what they did and the fact that they could be arrested if anyone found out in the season 18 episode Undergrounded.
So if we're all gonna die anyway, what's the worst thing you guys have ever done?
So when the guys get trapped in a cave-in underground with no sign of rescue, they decide to get some secrets off their chest. But I guess Peter's just too squeaky clean, so he reveals one of Lois's secrets.
Lois once killed a woman.
Seems like a secret about Lois.
Yeah, but I picked out the woman.
Why are all of Lois's secrets centered around killing people? At least Peter's destruction is out in the open, but Lois's actions in secret may just be a bit more sinister.
I killed a jaywalker in 2002. She looked old, but she was only 51.
Anyway, the reason we're talking about this moment is because it actually happened on Peter and Lois's honeymoon, as revealed by a short flashback right before the end credits.
Oh, it's so beautiful here.
Nothing but the best for my beautiful bride on her honeymoon.
Those all-inclusive resorts really are the best. You get unlimited food, unlimited drinks, and when the waitress says they can't fulfill your order, you can just take them out. You really do get your money's worth.
I'm on it. I love you so much.
So while everything seemed to work out, it's important to remember that there were several factors that almost made the relationship non-existent. Whether it be by their own doing or outside forces, there are several futures in the show where Peter and Lois don't end up together. And by their own doing, I mostly mean Peter, who nearly ruined everything at least twice. According to the season 14 episode, Take a Letter, Peter was having second thoughts and ended up writing to his ex, Gretchen.
Who the hell is Gretchen Mercer? And this is postmarked a week before our wedding.
So while working at the post office, Lois comes across an old letter meant for Peter's ex that was never delivered. Curiosity killed the cat, and Lois needs to find out if she needs to kill Peter, so she decides to hand-deliver it to Gretchen herself.
Oh, it was nothing. He was just writing to say that he was excited about getting married.
This might be the least petty example of someone doing this. I feel like most people would have sent the letter along with a picture of their bare butt and them holding up their middle finger. But it turns out that's not what the letter said at all.
You said that you were having doubts about marrying Lois, and you still had thoughts about marrying me?
Well, getting cold feet is pretty common, but I guess the hands weren't cold enough to keep him from writing that letter. But despite what he said in the past, Peter can confidently say that he made the right choice.
Gretchen, I am already happily, moderately relative. I am married.
And that's an indisputable fact. Checkmate, Gretchen. But even though Peter had some doubts, he still affirms that he made the right choice and ends up cutting off Gretchen. Gretchen's looking to do some cutting off too, mostly involving Lois's head and her shoulders.
Peter, I'm glad you're here to see this. You and I can finally be together.
Once Lois learns the truth, she seems content to just let Gretchen have Peter. But till death do us part still means something to her, and the death part doesn't come today.
Get away from my husband.
Yeah, it turns out you can be pretty forgiving when you have your own doubts about marriage. Not sure if Lois has gotten over those doubts or has just gotten really good at lying to herself.
Do you remember me crying at our wedding?
Sure, it's in all our pictures.
That's doubt. But there's no doubt anymore.
So that was an example of something that could have irreparably changed their future together. But let's take a look at a few examples that did wind up changing their future. One of the earliest examples of this is Season 5's Meet the Quagmires, where Peter's meddling with the past drives Lois into the arms of one of his friends.
I was dating Lois the whole time. I never got to be wild.
So Peter gets his wish to relive his teen years thanks to Death, who transports him back in time for one night. All this so he can just blow off his hot girlfriend. Brian pretty much sums up just what Peter was working with back then.
Wow, 18-year-old Lois. Son of a bitch.
If that dog had any real brains, he would have taken this as a perfect opportunity to secure his future with her. But oh well, man's best friend and whatnot.
Lois, we got the rest of our lives for me to not hear a word you just said, but tonight I got plans with Cleveland.
Who would have thought that going to see a bad 80s movie with Lois was the entire linchpin to them getting married? Maybe we were all a bit too quick to judge Zapped. But Peter seems to have the time of his life, even getting to hook up with one of the biggest stars of the 80s.
Are you Molly Ringwald?
Yeah, how's it going?
Look, Lois could be mad about this, but she would also be justified in giving Peter some major props. But when Peter returns to the present, it quickly becomes clear he forgot to hit the reset button.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my bed?
Peter, it's me, Molly
Your wife?
Not sure what kind of last name your wife is, but I think this is who Peter was making out with at the bar. But if she's here, then where's Lois? And who's flying the plane?
Morning, Pete. Hope you and Molly can still join us for dinner tonight. Come here, baby.
So it turns out that one night of Peter blowing off Lois pretty much rocketed her into the arms of Quagmire. Either this isn't Peter's first offense, or Lois is a woman not to be trifled with. And now in this future, Meg, Chris, and Stewie are all Quagmire's children. And somehow they're even more unsightly. I guess they'll just have to grow into that chin. But while everything seems weird, it's hard to ignore that the world Peter's actions created may actually be a lot better. It's hard to ignore that Lois seems pretty happy with Quagmire.
When he kissed me that night at the country club dance, I knew we'd be together forever.
Actually, everything seems better because Peter and Lois aren't together. What kind of unholy, demonic union did they have that made the old world such a bad place?
Face it, Peter, you not marrying Lois was the best thing that ever happened to the world.
But Peter's enough of a romantic that he would throw away the happiness of the world just to be with Lois. Brian, you have a moral obligation to stop this guy, you know.
This is the exact moment in 1984 that I sent you to the first time. You just gotta manage not to screw it up again.
Huh, so that's what that book was all about. Unfortunately, screw up is just Peter's default factory setting, meaning he screws up again and again and again trying to win Lois back.
I've already got plans.
What do you mean, plans?
I'm going to the country club dance with Glenn.
So Peter only has one last shot to win Lois back, but from the sound of it, it seems she's already made up her mind. I guess Peter will just have to settle for a world with universal healthcare, non-existent street crime, and being married to a millionaire acting star. Oh, the horror.
You had your chance with me and you blew it. Now leave us alone.
Yeah? Well, good luck falling in love with a guy who isn't even conscious.
Hey, Quagmire!
Huh?
And this violent act of passion seems to be enough to win back Lois. Violence is never the answer except for those very specific moments when it's the only answer.
Will you be my wife?
Yes. Yes, I will.
And just like that, their future is restored. It's totally clear that Peter is more than capable of nearly ruining his relationship at any point in time, but he's not the only one. In the season 12 episode, Chap Stewie manages to dissolve their marriage so he wouldn't be born.
God, it's a family of idiots! I wish I was never born!
So after being annoyed by his family for the last time, Stewie decides to travel back to before he was born to prevent his birth, hoping he'll be born into a much more suitable family.
I'm going to break up Lois and the fat man before they can conceive me.
Not entirely sure how this means Stewie will be born into a different family, but sure, why not? Maybe Stewie will get some not-so-football-headed genes on the next go-round. But breaking them up may prove to be difficult, as they still had somewhat of a semblance of love for each other back then.
It's me and you on the space moon, 'cause I would love you anywhere.
It also sounds like Peter might have been recovering from a pretty bad blow to the head. Still, you can't deny that they do look happy.
And this is me getting you from behind, 'cause in space no one can hear you scream.
Alright, time to confiscate this man's crayons. So Stewie decides to set up a scenario that'll make both of them wind up hating each other.
I don't appreciate how you spray painted vile woman on the bedroom wall.
That wasn't me!
Yeah, I think she's giving Peter too much credit for knowing how to spell either of those words. But this back and forth bickering seems to be enough to convince them to head their separate ways.
Well, then maybe I should just leave!
And where are you gonna go? You got nothing else and nobody else.
Well, now Peter finally has the time to chase his dream of being a professional couch crasher. It's one of the very few lifestyles where you don't gotta pay rent and everyone definitely loves you for it. But after Stewie's born into a new family, he quickly realizes he misses his dumb old family more.
I wanted to be free of the family of morons I was born into, but now I'm the moron!
It's always a scary thing ending up as the dumbest person in the room. So Stewie travels back to right before he ruins his parents' marriage and manages to remind them of how much they love each other.
I love you, Peter.
Oh, I love you too, Lois.
Another past saved by more time travel nonsense. So now that we've seen all the different ways their relationship almost didn't happen, let's look and see if they've made the right choice. You probably already know the answer to that one, but let's just look for fun, shall we? So after the honeymoon, it appears the couple didn't immediately jump into parenthood. According to the season 4 episode Deep Throats, Peter and Lois actually formed a short-lived folk band.
You remember, Lois? Remember our band, Handful of Peter?
Gotta respect them for keeping the hippie aesthetic of the 60s alive in the 90s. They sound pretty good, but they were also both high as a kite during this time, so it's hard to say if they're remembering it correctly.
The only cause of death was drifting off to sleep.
But once they popped out a couple of kids, things seemed to really take a turn in their relationship. Every couple goes through their handful of issues, but I don't think many would stay together afterwards. Some of these issues include making negative comments about one another's appearance, which eventually led to infidelity like in Season 8's Go Stewie Go.
You know, I don't mind so much that you're aging, it's just the way you're shoving it down my throat.
Screw you, Peter.
So Lois is starting to feel down about her appearance after several comments from Peter, but just one positive comment from Meg's boyfriend gets her in the mood to throw her marriage away.
Has anybody ever told you you're pretty enough to be a movie star, Mrs. Griffin?
People said the same thing about the dog from Air Bud, and look what happened to him. Died in a shootout with police. The movie industry really isn't for everyone.
She ain't what she used to be, all right? Once you get those pants off, it's like 2 sagging pressed hams and a slice of pizza.
I'm trying to visualize what he's saying, but I think I'm too hungry because all that just sounds like a good dinner to me. So if Peter isn't going to compliment Lois, she figures her attention is best suited for someone who will.
Do my gray hairs bother you?
What gray hairs?
Kiss me.
Right answer, kid. It was really a toss-up between her kissing him or crying on him, so it looks like he said the magic words. Lois eventually admits this to Peter, stating that her low self-esteem affected by Peter's comments is what drove her to cheat on him.
You've been making me feel old and fat and unattractive and worthless. How do you expect me to respond?
I would have guessed with your fists, but I guess she wanted to go for a bit more.
Emotional damage!
But it turns out that Peter's comments are actually just a projection of his own insecurities.
I guess I thought that if I could bring you down, you wouldn't start to notice that you're too good for me and run off looking for another fella.
I think even if Lois was thrown into a wood chipper, she'd still be too good for Peter. But these insecurities about age and appearances would remain a common theme in their relationship. This would lead to Lois having a full-blown middle-aged crisis in the Season 11 episode Lois Comes Out of Her Shell, where Peter was unable to keep up with Lois's younger lifestyle.
What were once 2 firm, impressive mountain peaks have become a barren, strip-mined, muddy landslide.
So this episode starts much like the last one, with Peter making insulting comments about Lois's body on her birthday.
You may not be the young filly you were when I met you, but you're still my reliable old plow horse.
Such a poet with his words. Women love being compared to animals, especially of the barnyard variety. Unsurprisingly, this shatters Lois, who decides to have a bit of a different reaction to Peter's words this go-around.
I got highlights, I went shopping, and I had my... So it's tighter now.
Glad she finally got that leaky pipe tightened. Not sure why she had to whisper that to Peter. The kids need to learn about responsible house maintenance. But Peter actually likes this new version of Lois. For a few days. He's just not the youthful stallion that can keep up with what the youngins have going on. He's more like the kind of horse that you know is going to make you a killing at the glue factory.
I thought you liked having a hot young wife.
Yeah, well, I did at first, but the novelty's worn off.
So if Peter can't match Lois's new young energy, she's going to need to find a new boyfriend. Perhaps somebody to love. Maybe somebody who likes peaches. I think that's all the Justin Bieber references I can come up with for today. But never say never.
Oh my God, he is so adorable. I could just bite him and eat him up.
Squeezing a little bit of cannibalism into the midlife crisis, are we, Lois? Well, I guess you're never too young to start. Luckily, Peter manages to step in before Lois manages to swallow any part of his body.
Just get your pants off, hon.
Stop right there! Get away from her!
And Peter finally apologizes, realizing he doesn't want a young wife like he thought and loves Lois for who she is now.
I want a smart, sexy, beautiful, middle-aged companion. I want the real Lois.
Well, I hope you like lower back tattoos, because the real Lois is probably going to be stuck with one for a while. But while they've been able to get over this hurdle, there's still plenty of marital troubles for the two of them to unpack. These have perhaps never manifested as darkly or depressingly as in the Season 16 episode Nanny Goats, where Peter and Lois started to spend more time together only to find out they might hate each other.
You need help, Lois, and since I don't believe in psychiatry, I'm getting you a nanny.
So when the Griffins get a nanny, Peter and Lois's time is finally freed up so they can start spending some quality time together.
Go out, enjoy American freedom.
What do you say, Peter?
It could be fun.
It gives them the perfect opportunity to get to know each other. Likes, dislikes, where they're from, what their families are like. Judging by how they act sometimes, I feel like these things weren't covered in the dating process.
How's the stuff you do during your day?
Good.
Good.
Easy there, lovers. Save some of that spice for the bedroom. But since they don't have to worry about the kids, a spark does seem to reignite in them. Well, I guess there's their solution. They're gonna have to sell the kids.
Come on, let's get in the trunk. I filled it with water so we can do it hippo style.
This seems to be the happiest Peter and Lois have been in years, and they just can't help but rub said happiness in the faces of their couple of friends.
Joe, we time is just as important as me time.
Okay.
I don't think you really get it, Joe. I think you need a few more hours of them repeating couples therapy quotes.
Boy, our friends all seem to be happily married.
Yeah, right.
Gotta love it when you reach that stage in the relationship where you see yourself as better than all other couples. It won't last long, but let them have that ecstasy for just one night. But the festivities don't end here.
You come in late last night drunk and tell me to pack car for weekend getaway you book online.
What's a few more nights of prolonged quality time? Just maybe keep any pocket knives or sharp jewelry at home.
We've already had 6 nights out together. It'd be great to have 3 more.
And by the time they reach their cabin, tensions are already starting to rise.
In lieu of television, please tune into each other.
Haha, indeed.
Where do these people get off thinking these couples want to spend a remote vacation paying attention to each other? And when it comes time for bed, the comments start to get a little more personal.
My husband, the Rockefeller, letting my parents pay for the nanny.
Kids still lining up around the block for those piano lessons?
Yeah, whatever happened with that? I guess the writers just thought it'd be funnier if Lois had even less of a purpose. And within a few seconds, the entirety of their marriage starts to disintegrate.
I've been dead since the minute I said I do.
Well, the minute you say I don't, I am out that door.
This is just what happens to the modern human when put in a place without Wi-Fi for a few minutes. So the two travel home in silence, sure that this may be the end of their pairing. However, when they see the smiling faces of their family waiting for them at home, they're reminded of the beauty of what they have. Or they just decide to stay together until the kids move out. In that case, what's another 18 years of lying to yourselves?
So, how was the trip?
I know we focused mostly on the negatives the couple has gone through, mostly because there's way more of that to choose from, but the two are capable of some very sweet moments. But sometimes it can be kinda nice to see two toxic people find happiness together, which is more or less what they realize when they briefly decide to date other people in Season 3's Stuck Together, Torn Apart.
Ross Fishman, is that really you? I haven't seen you since college.
So Lois ends up running into one of her exes and decides to get coffee with him, something she initially hides from Peter.
Hey, Peter, isn't that Lois over there in that diner?
Yeah, what would Lois be doing at a diner? I already ate.
See, back then, Peter couldn't even fathom the idea of cheating. But there isn't much else you can assume your wife and another man would be doing.
I really enjoy being with you, Ross. I'm having a great time.
Okay, that is a kinda weird way to word that, even if nothing nefarious was going on. Always gotta choose your words carefully. You never know when the NSA or a jealous husband may be listening.
I saw you with him the other day, breaking the 5th commandment. Congress passes these things for a reason, Lois.
So the two decide to attend marriage counseling, and the advice they're given pretty much tells you all you need to know about their relationship.
I recommend a trial separation, during which time I advise that you date other people.
Imagine getting prescribed cheating by a doctor. I think at that point, you just need to view your marriage as terminal. So Lois decides to try a date with Quagmire while Peter gets set up with Mort's niece, actress Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Nice to meet you.
All right, I'm getting up. Hi, Peter Griffin. So where do you want to go?
Well, I guess we know that Peter has standards. Are they comprehensible by the human mind? No, but at least he has them. But when Lois sees the two of them out on their date, it becomes apparent that jealousy isn't a Peter exclusive thing.
Hold on, Toots. I don't care what our therapist says. I'm not gonna stand by and watch my husband lock lips with another woman.
Yeah, maybe the therapist should have established some guidelines before someone wound up pregnant. You kiss long enough and that's what happens. But the two are at least able to establish some kind of common ground.
I guess we're just gonna have to learn to control our jealousy. Together.
Together.
Ironically enough, a little infidelity actually ended up being good for them. So they are capable of working through things without getting extreme, but let's be honest, you want to watch the messed up stuff, don't you? So this is where they are now, but what exactly does the future hold for Peter and Lois? Well, luckily, the show has given us a few glimpses into the future, some good and some not so good. Let's start with the not so good for the sickos, shall we? Season 16's Don't Be a Dickens at Christmas showed Peter a future where if he didn't start loving his family more, he'd wind up dying alone.
Well, this year I am going and the kids are coming with me.
Go ahead, I'm fine by myself.
So when Peter refuses to spend time with his family on Christmas, Lois takes the kids to her parents, leaving Peter to be visited by a very special Christmas ghost.
Peter, you're in trouble. So I've come back to help you recapture the true spirit of Christmas.
Oh, I get it. Patrick Swayze's playing a ghost because he was in that one movie, Christmas in Wonderland. Odd choice, considering everyone hates that movie, but I'm always down to get crazy with some Swayze.
You've lost your Christmas spirit, so I'm taking you on a journey to Christmas past to find it.
And that's exactly what they do, but when the past doesn't seem to clue Peter in enough, Swayze takes him to the present to see what his family's up to.
Seems like they're having a good time without you.
Oh, they're just pretending to have fun. I'm sure they miss me.
I don't know about that. Lois looks like she's ready to throw it all away for a waiter in a ponytail.
You're very funny, Lance. You're a very handsome, funny man. Now let's see that.
Well, that could mean anything. I must admit, I'm not super familiar with Peter Schmidt Christmas traditions.
And no matter what you show me, there's no way my family won't be right back here spending Christmas with me tomorrow.
Well, if you live long enough to see tomorrow. Swayze next shows Peter a possible future where Peter ends up dying and his family moves on without him.
Merry Christmas!
Who's that guy?
That's Lois's new husband, Lance.
Dang, she really didn't waste any time. Or distance. Really kinda just married the closest single guy to her vicinity. It seems like the change worked out for the kids, though.
And I'm off to Yale.
The lockmaker?
The lockmaker, where I have a minimum wage job.
You may be surprised to learn this is the good ending. That's just the power of marrying a man with a ponytail.
Why didn't someone in my family save me?
They went to Newport because you wanted to be by yourself.
So this future implies that Peter and Lois are on just thin enough ice that one act of selfishness might be enough to drive Lois away forever. And what's worse, once Peter's dead, she doesn't seem to be all that broken up about it. Not gonna lie, it kinda feels like the future we were all expecting. But maybe this was just a scare tactic to get Peter to change his ways. We actually have a more solid and much happier future where Peter and Lois are still together, as seen in Season 4's Stu and Stewie's Excellent Adventure.
I thought the future would be different, with jetpacks, eco-domes, and TV they can beam right into your head.
So Stewie ends up in the future with his 30-year-old self. 30? Yeesh, Griffin Peterschmidt genetics did not do him a solid. And what's even worse? His family is nice and happy in their old age.
Oh, Stu, my big boy.
Hello, Mother. She's still alive?
Not only that, but she and Peter seem to still be happily married. Peter is still Peter, though, so I guess Lois just had to make peace with that.
Oh no, I broke my hip.
You need some help, Dad?
Nah, I'm good.
We don't get to see much from this future version of the couple, but the fact that they've gone into old age together is pretty heartwarming. So now that we've made it to the end, what's the takeaway? It's clear the two share a lot of issues, but ironically, that's what ultimately makes them a good pairing. Sure, there are some instances where the world would be better without them as a duo, but it's hard to deny there's still a genuine love between them, and a lot of wholesome moments have come from their relationship. They both play to each other's identities and are proof that two people of different backgrounds and upbringings can make it work with a little love. A lot of therapy, alcohol, and fantasizing about another life too, but you know, there's some love in there as well. But do you think Peter and Lois should stay together? Let us know down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.